Okay, today I want to talk a little bit about the rat knife and some of the design features, primarily the grips. So a lot of people, when they get their knife or when they're thinking about purchasing the rat, they think, wow, this is too small for me. It doesn't really fit my hand, because they can grab it and then go, wow, this doesn't really, I feel like it's too small. Well, really, a lot of that has to do with training, right? So if we look at some variations of grip, one of the main designs behind the rat is that you can put your finger right here in this notch, right? And then you take this and you put it right there in your palm. And so now you have what we refer to in Saiya Kali as a palm assist. So if I try and hold the knife like this and I thrust with it, then what happens is now my grip is dependent primarily on the strength of my grip and the timing of my grip. So if I'm even if I'm super strong, but I hit a very hard resistance, it's very common to have the knife slide out the back of your hand when you hold it like that and you thrust something really hard. So and that's one of the reasons why people slide up on the blade. But when I take this and I tilt it like that and I pinch it in with the rest of my fingers into my palm, now I have this palm assist, very, very stable. So now as I thrust, the energy goes into the blade, gets transferred down and into the palm of my hand. So I have a much more stable grip, much stronger pressure, much less likely to ride out on the blade. So now there's variations of that, of course. I might put this finger in there and have this finger run down the blade. You might run your finger down the blade for concealment. You might run your finger down the blade because when I have my finger running down the blade, I have much more control, much more dexterity, much more accuracy. So when I reach out and touch something, just like it's like touching them with my finger. So I get a lot more accuracy when I run my finger down the blade. Now obviously I can't plunge into the chest cavity or even the abdomen with this unsupported, because it'll catch my finger and break my finger. So, but I can put my thumb underneath it, and now I have a good stable grip. Now it's stronger. So, but that would be the same thing. I just run it down my palm and put my finger on the back of it here. So that's a couple of different grips. Okay. Another is where I take the blade and I twist it in my hand. This little small angle right here and this lever right here in the turn allows me to be able to turn the blade flat like that. So now my thumb is running along the flat of the blade. And the reason that I would use a technique like this is for something like a gunting or a destruction, where he punches in or slashes in, and I cut on inward basis, and I cut into the bicep in that forward motion. So a lot of people try and hold it like this and turn their wrist so that they get the edge orientation into the arm, but in doing so I've turned my wrist and I have a very compromised position. That's not how it's done. The way it's done is to simply turn your blade in your hand, and then you just bring your hands together. So that ability to be able to manipulate that blade in my hand very effectively and still have a good grip is important and is in this design. So now I could have a lot of other things. I could do it in reverse grip, right? So when we look at the reverse grip, this notch right here is designed to catch your finger. So when you come up, that's designed to help you get your master grip. So as it comes up, you get a good draw stroke. Now, we don't want a giant butt sticking out here. We don't want that huge puño, okay? Because I want to be able to put my thumb on it. Again, if I don't, just hold it like this. When I thrust really hard into something, it's very likely to slide up on the blade. So, again, because it's based on strength, which, you know, depending on how much work you've done here, how hard this fight has gone on, or how long and how hard it's been, you may not have the grip you started with, right? So it also has to do with timing. If you don't actually thrust things with your trainers, then your timing will be off, and by the time you squeeze, you're already sliding down the blade. Real common for guys who primarily train empty hand and don't really stab things with their trainers. So I want to get a good grip there, and then I put my thumb over the top of that, right? So now there's very little, if anything, to get caught on his clothing, things like that. When I thrust into him, this keeps that from sliding all the way up. So this thumb cap. Now if we made this is rounded so your thumb fits right over the top of it. If it were pointed or had a cool window breaker, which I don't know how often someone uses a window breaker, I personally don't know anybody who's used their window breaker on their knife. But if you have a cool window breaker, something looks neat there, but you put your thumb over the top of it, now you get something stabbing you, right? So even if the knife has a point and you put your thing in there, your thumb over the top of it, that point's digging in, right? And can damage the tendon of your thumb and cause problems for your grip. So we want something that fits right over like this. I can also scoot up one notch, one finger notch, and now I have this grip, and so this thumb comes over the top and my finger locks this in. These are very common grips in the art of Saiya Kali, which of course is one of the main arts that influenced me and influenced my training and the design of this blade. So, but this right here just comes right over and caps that just like so, and that gives me about an extra inch of penetration for people who say, well, this won't reach the target that I'm looking for. You know, if you get a 4.5 inch blade or penetration, you should be able to reach just about anything that you want in the blade, in the body. So, so as far as grips go, those are some of the basic grips. There's a lot more that you could use with the rat. One of the things that I like is that you can hold it very effectively. It kind of holds you back when you're using it in your offhand for when you're shooting. And you're running your drills with your offhand or your other strong hand. It's not such a big, bulky, round thing that I'm holding in my hand. It works very effectively in your other strong hand when you're doing your shooting. So those are some of the grips for the rat. There's a wide variety of those things. Like I said, Saiya grips, they're basic Saiya grips, but when people hold this in their hand, they're like, man, this is too small. Well, you're not supposed to hold it like this, right? It's not a hammer. Right? It's a tool, and it has its particular use. So just kind of pinching it in like this, put your finger in there, pinch it in like that, should fit right into the palm of your hand, and then you can have a lot of dexterity, a lot of control in the blade. You can put your thumb on the back of it like this to give it more pressure. You know, you can put your thumb on the opposite side of it like this to keep people from shearing and disarming, or if you're holding another tool. So a lot of different grips for the rat, and once you get into it, once you explore with it and you see how it fits in your hand and you start utilizing it, it's just like any other tool, right? What's the grip for a screwdriver, right? For some people would say, you know, people who work on their glasses a lot would say it's this, right? You hold it like this, and you hold your glasses and you just take these little turns, right? And then some mechanic would be like, what are you talking about? Sometimes I'm driving as hard as I can with the palm of my hand to really get pressure, and then I'm turning with my fingers like this, and this is my grip for my screwdriver. So just like any tool, there's a wide variation on how it should be held and how it should be used. And that really boils down to training and being more comfortable with your tool.